And there's people to this day who have a hard time making heads or tails of James Gunn's decision. But here's where what I brought up earlier has to be factored in. We all saw different movies. And we can only go based on the movies that were released into theaters, the movies that were promoted as, this is the vision we want you to buy into. That's all we can go on. And when you go through Henry's run as Superman, it's not easy, it's not hard to understand why James Gunn felt the need to move on. You had Man of Steel, opened pretty strong and made pretty decent box office, but by all accounts, not the box office that Warner Brothers had hoped for. They wanted more. I'm not saying that they're right for that, but from their vantage point, they thought a Man of Steel reboot coming from the men who made you the Dark Knight trilogy and Zack Snyder, they thought, they expected more. The critics didn't love it, 50-something% on Rotten Tomatoes. Then we go to BVS theatrical cut, 26% on Rotten Tomatoes, and another film that just didn't live up to box office potential, and worse yet, became a meme for how sort of disliked many of its creative decisions were. Then the next time we saw him was in the theatrical cut of Justice League, where he looked silly and was given many kind of corny, crappy things to say and do. And then after that, we got a headless shot of him in Shazam. We got the one finally well-received part of his work, which was Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is his best reviewed work as Superman, and yet it was only ever seen by people on Max. And then we have that final little crumb at the end of Black Adam, a movie that bombed and wasn't well liked. So if you're James Gunn and you're looking at Henry Cavill's Superman, and you've just been given the responsibility of bringing Superman back up to proper heights again, you've got to realistically understand that this Superman never connected. This Superman never had that one big movie that made everyone fall in love with him. On the contrary, every movie he was a part of that made its way into theaters ended up being more notorious for its creative decisions than for how wonderful he was as Superman. And when you think of that, how could James Gunn have chosen him for this new movie? It would have poisoned this movie right out of the gate. It would have ruined the DC Universe's chances of ever succeeding, because it would have been built on a very, very negative, disliked foundation. And it's not Henry's fault that that's what he's associated with. It's not his fault that that's his legacy. And we know from previous quotes that he wanted Superman portrayed differently. He wanted stories that probably would have gone over much better with the masses. And he would have become this generation's Superman.